You can't expect to break through anything in life if you don't even know where the wall is. Too many people are out here talking about they're working hard, they're grinding, they're giving it everything they've got. But when I ask them, what's your breaking point? They look at me like I'm speaking another language. You can't push until it breaks if you don't even know what a breaking looks like for you. You're aiming at nothing and you're wondering why nothing is happening. You gotta set a target so specific, so clear, so big that you can feel in your chest when you think about it. You gotta identify exactly what's standing in your way. Is it fear? Is it procrastination? Is it lack of discipline? Is it the habit of quitting when things get uncomfortable? Maybe it's not even an external thing. Maybe the wall you need to break through is right here. Points to heart, inside of you. Maybe it's a mindset that's been passed down to you, a belief that says you're not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. That wall's real. That wall is holding you back. And unless you can see it, name it, and call it out, you'll keep running in circles wondering why nothing's changing. When I say define your breaking point, I mean be ruthless about it. Sit down and write it out. What's the thing you've been avoiding? What's the place you've been too afraid to go? What's the conversation you've been putting off because it scares you? For some of you, your breaking point is waking up early every single day for 90 days. Or done it that's finishing a project you've been working on for years, but never committing to finish. For some of you, it's going to the gym and actually pushing until your body says, I can't do one more rep, and then doing 3 more. Here's the problem. Most people never even get close to their breaking point because they've set their goals so low they can hit them without breaking a sweat. That's why you're bored. That's why you're stuck. You're playing a game that doesn't even require your full heart. You're operating at 50% and wondering why your life isn't changing. Let me tell you something. The greats, the legends, the ones whose names we remember, they set goals that scared them. They looked at a challenge and said, this might actually break me, and then they went after anyway. You've got to get crystal clear. Don't just say, I want to get in shape. Say, I want to run a marathon by the end of the year. Don't just say, I want to make more money. Say, I want to double my income in the next 12 months. Don't just say, I want to be more disciplined. Say, I will wake up at 4:30 a.m. every single day for the next 6 months. When you put specifics on your goals, you create a clear breaking point. And once you know what that is, you can aim all your energy at it. The reason defining the break point is so powerful is because it gives you something to measure yourself against. It's like a sprinter. They don't just run until they feel like stopping. They run until they cross the finish line. That's the break point. Without it, you're just running in circles. You've got to know what the finish line looks like so you can push through it. And here's the thing. Your break point should scare you. If it doesn't make your stomach turn a little bit, if it doesn't make you question whether you can do it, it's not big enough. You're not trying to break something small. You're trying to break the limits you've lived under your whole life. That means your target should be something that requires every ounce of your focus, discipline, and determination. Once you define it, you lock in. You don't let the feelings of the day determine your actions. You don't let setbacks make you change the target. You don't lower the bar just because it's heavy. You keep your eyes on that breaking point and you push with everything you've got until it gives. It might take a week, it might take a year, it might take 10 years. But the moment you hit it, you'll know. And that's when you'll realize all along, the wall wasn't as strong as you thought. It just needed you to commit fully to taking it down. Stop running from the pain. Stop ducking the discomfort. Every time you back away from that burning feeling, you are backing away from your breakthrough. You've been taught to believe that when something hurts, it's time to stop. But the truth is, when your muscles burn, when your lungs feel like they're on fire, when your mind is screaming quit, that's the exact moment you're about to grow. Pain is not a signal to quit. It's a signal that you're in the right place. You've got to flip the way you see discomfort. Most people treat it like an enemy. But if you're serious about growth, you've got to start treating it like a friend. Think about the people who are at the top of their game, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. Every single one of them has a relationship with discomfort. They know that the only way to get stronger is to stress the muscle, whether that muscle is physical, mental, or emotional. They've learned to stay in the heat a little longer than everybody else. Here's the truth. Discomfort is where the separation happens. It's where the amateurs fall off and the champions rise. The reason so many people live average lives is because they stop at the first sign of pain. They hit the wall and say, that's enough. But the greats, they hit the wall, take a deep breath, and push harder. That's why they win. When you feel that discomfort, your first instinct will be to back off. Your brain will tell you, this is dangerous, this is too much. But you've got to train yourself to hear that and think, good, that means I'm getting something. The discomfort zone is where you're forced to dig deep, where you're forced to tap into something you didn't even know you had. And once you've been there enough times, you start to realize it's not the enemy, it's the forge. Think about gold. You don't find gold shining and polished in the ground. You find it buried in rock, covered in dirt, and then you put it through fire. The fire burns away everything that's not gold. That's what discomfort does for you. It burns away the laziness, the excuses, the weakness. It leaves you with only what's real. Most of you avoid discomfort because you think it's a sign you're failing. But what if I told you it's a sign you're on the right track? If your workouts don't leave you sore, you're not building muscle. If your study sessions don't leave you mentally exhausted, you're not mastering the subject. If your business calls don't leave you nervous, you're not stretching your capacity. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it's deadly in the long run. Discomfort feels terrible in the moment, but it's where you grow. I need you to stop praying for an easy life and start asking for the strength to handle a hard one. Stop asking for the load to be lighter and start training yourself to be stronger. Every time you choose discomfort, you're building a new level of resilience. And resilience is the foundation of every breakthrough you will ever have. When you start embracing discomfort, you stop living at the mercy of your feelings. Because let's be real, feelings will betray you. You'll never feel like doing the work when it's hard. You'll never feel like showing up when you're tired. But when you learn to push past the comfort zone, you start living by principle, not preference. You start moving because it's required, not because it's easy. The people who achieve the most in life are not the ones who had the easiest road. They're the ones who kept walking when the road was steep, when the wind was in their face, when their legs were shaking. They learned that discomfort is just a toll you pay to cross the bridge to greatness. So the next time you feel that burn, I want you to smile. The next time you feel the weight pressing down, I want you to lean into it. Because every rep you push through, every late night you endure, every awkward, nerve-wracking conversation you had, that's you chipping away at the old version of yourself. That's you stepping into a new level. And let me tell you something, once you get comfortable with discomfort, you become unstoppable because nothing scares you anymore. Pain stops being a reason to quit and it becomes a reason to keep going. Sometimes you're pushing with everything you got and it feels like nothing is moving. You're grinding, you're sweating, you're sacrificing, and the door in front of you still won't open. In that moment, most people make the biggest mistake of their lives. They quit. They say, it must not be meant for me. Maybe it's a sign. No, it's not a sign to quit. It's a sign to adjust. Just because a door doesn't open the first time you turn the knob doesn't mean it's locked forever. It just means you need a different angle, a different key, a different strategy. I've seen people walk away from dreams. They were inches away from reaching because they expected everything to open up on the first try. You gotta understand, sometimes life tests you to see how bad you really want it. If you give up the moment it gets hard, you're telling life you don't want it enough. Champions are not the ones who get it right every time. They're the ones who keep trying until they figure it out. Think about a lock. You can put in the wrong combination 100 times, but the moment you get it right, it opens instantly. All those failed attempts weren't wasted. They were getting you closer to the right one. That's what it's like in life. Every failure teaches you something about how to try better next time. Every setback gives you data. Every obstacle shows you a new approach. But you gotta be willing to stay in the fight long enough to apply what you've learned. When you hit resistance, not the end, it's the process. That's the moment to stop, breathe, and ask yourself, what can I do differently? How can I come at this from another angle? Maybe you need to change your routine. Maybe you need new information. Maybe you need to connect with people who've done what you're trying to do. Adjust doesn't mean abandon, Adjust means evolve. Too many people confuse a change in method with a change in mission. Just because the road you plan is blocked doesn't mean the destination has changed. Sometimes you gotta take a detour. Sometimes you gotta climb over the wall instead of trying to go through it. Sometimes you gotta dig under it. The goal stays the same. The path is what changes. When you're pushing for something big, understand that the resistance is part of the growth. If it came easy, everybody would have it. You're being shaped by the struggle. The pressure you feel right now is making you stronger for the moment when the door finally swings open. And when it does, you'll appreciate it more because you know what it costs. But here's the key. You can't let frustration make you sloppy. Some of you get so upset that it's not happening fast enough that you start cutting corners, you start skipping steps. That's the fastest way to ruin what you've been building. If the door won't open yet, that's your sign to prepare yourself for when it does. Sharpen your skills. Build your discipline. Strengthen your mindset so when that opportunity comes, you're ready to walk through it and own it. I need you to hear me. The difference between winners and everybody else is not that winners never face resistance. It's that they refuse to be stopped by it. They're willing to adjust again and again until they find the angle that works. And when they find it, it's game over. So don't you dare quit just because it's hard. Don't you dare walk away just because it's taking longer than you thought. You're closer than you think. You might be one adjustment away from the breakthrough you've been chasing for years. Motivation will get you started, but it's not enough to get you to the finish line. Motivation is like a spark. It lights you up for a moment, but if you don't feed it, it burns out. That's why so many people start strong and finish weak. They wake up one day inspired, ready to change their life, and for a week they're unstoppable. But then the weather changes, they get tired. Someone criticizes them or the results aren't coming fast enough, and they stop. That's because they were running on motivation, not commitment. Commitment is different. Commitment says I'm in this no matter how I feel. Commitment doesn't check the temperature, doesn't care about the mood, doesn't wait for the perfect circumstances. Commitment shows up when it's raining, when it's cold, when it's lonely, when it's inconvenient. Commitment says, even if it takes me years, I'm not backing out. The truth is, there will be days when you don't want to do the work. Days when the thought of getting up early makes you sick. Days when the grind feels heavier than you can carry. That's when you find out if you're motivated or committed. Motivation says, I'll try again tomorrow. Commitment says, I'll do it right now because I promised myself I would. You got to decide before the storm that quitting is an option. You got to make up your mind when things are calm. So when things get hard, your decision has already been made. That's what commitment is. The decision you make once and then reinforce every single day with your action. You don't renegotiate it when you're tired. You don't cancel it when it's hard. You stick to it because your word means something to you. Think about elite athletes. They don't train only when they feel like it. They don't cancel practice because it's cold outside. They show up because the work has to be done. The championship is one of the days when no one's watching and the days when it will be easy to stay in bed. Here's the thing, motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes, but commitment is a habit. It's muscle memory. It's doing the work so many times that it becomes who you are. And once it's who you are, you don't even think about whether or not you'll show up. You just do. Some of you are frustrated right now because you keep starting and stopping. You get hyped up after a video, a book, a conversation, and you go all in for a little while. But then something happens and you disappear. That's because you build a relationship with motivation, not commitment. You've been chasing the feeling instead of building the discipline. If you want to push until it breaks, you got to build a level of commitment that doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. You got to be willing to do it tired. You got to be willing to do it discouraged. You got to be willing to do it when nobody is cheering for you, when nobody even notices you're still going. That's why I tell people, make the decision once, lock it in. If you decide you're going to work out every day for the next year, that's it. The decision is done. You don't revisit it every morning. You don't wake up and think, no, feel like it today. No, you already decided. Now it's just about execution. And when you operate from commitment, something powerful happens. You stop relying on hype. You stop waiting for perfect condition. You become consistent. And consistency is the real superpower. You might not be the fastest, you might not be the strongest, but if you keep showing up day after day, you will outlast and outperform everybody who quit when the motivation wore off. The people who win big in life are not the ones who had the most energy at the start. They're the ones who kept moving when everyone else sat down. They didn't need to feel inspired to take action. They made action the standard, not the exception. So stop waiting to feel ready, get ready. Stop chasing the high of motivation and start building the muscle of commitment. Because once you're committed, nothing can shake you. Not setbacks, not failures, not bad days. You keep moving forward until you break. When you finally break through, when the wall comes crashing down, when the thing that's been standing in your way for months or a year finally gives way, you gotta stop for a second and feel it. You gotta recognize what you just did. Too many people hit a milestone and rush past it like it's nothing. No, take a moment. Remember the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the moments you almost quit but didn't. Let yourself feel the weight of the victory, because that feeling is gonna fuel you for the next mountain. Celebration isn't about throwing a party. It's about acknowledging the transformation. You're not the same person who started this journey. The person who began didn't have the discipline, the resilience, or the scars you have now. You didn't just break through the obstacle. You became someone who can't be stopped. And you need to see that in yourself because that identity is what's going to carry you into the next battle. But here's the danger. After the breakthrough, it's easy to get comfortable. It's easy to think I made it. That's the trap. That's how champions turn into has-beens. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you start slipping backward. You can't let one victory become the reason you stop fighting. Every mountain you climb is just preparation for a bigger one. Think about professional athletes. They don't win one championship and retire the next day. They celebrate, they rest for a moment, but then they're back in the gym, back in the film room, back in the grind. Why? Because they know the game never stops. The competition never stops. Life never stops throwing challenges at you. And if you're not ready for the next one, it will catch you slipping. When you break through, you got to immediately start scanning the horizon for the next wall. The goal isn't to break one barrier in life and call it a day. It's to keep raising the standard. Every time you hit a new level, you've got to ask yourself, what's next? Where's the next challenge? What's the next thing that scares me? That's how you stay sharp. That's how you keep growing. Some people think the goal of life is to reach a point where it's easy. But if it's easy, it's boring. If it's easy, it's not stretching you. And if you're not stretching, you're not growing. That's why I tell people after every win, set a bigger goal. If you just ran 5 miles for the first time, set your eyes on 10. If you just closed a deal for $10,000, aim for $50,000. If you just lost 20 pounds, make it 40 and get stronger in the process. Your next challenge should scare you the way the last one did. That fear means you're stepping into a new level. That nervous excitement means you're growing again. And here's the beauty. The more you do this, the more confidence you build. You start realizing there's no limit. Every wall you face, you broke it. Every challenge you've met, you've overcome. And that history becomes the proof you need to face the next giant. But you can't skip the step of celebrating, because celebration reinforces the habit. When you take a moment to acknowledge what you've done, it reminds your mind and body, this is what we do, we win. That memory will be the thing you hold on to when you're in the middle of the next fight and everything and you wants to quit. You remember, I've been here before. I felt this before and I came out on top. So yes, celebrate your wins, but use them as a launch pad, not a landing spot. Don't let them make you soft. Let them make you hungry. Let them remind you of what's possible when you refuse to quit. Because as soon as one wall breaks, another one is waiting. And that's not a bad thing. That's the game. That's the process. That's how you go from good to great to unstoppable. And the truth is, the joy isn't just in the moment of breaking through. The joy is in becoming the kind of person who keeps finding walls and knocking them down. That's a life of growth. That's a life of purpose. That's a life of purpose. That's a life where you never stop leveling up.